the two major awarding bodies that we've got, which is a PMI as well as a PRINCE2. We're able to look at differences as well as similarities, and also we're able to look into what are the things we should be looking out for, the roles we should be looking out for. We're able to put direction into that. So today, we'll be moving on into the PRINCE2 methodology. And from the PRINCE2 methodology today, hopefully, we might not be able to get into the PMBOK framework today, but I'll do justice, God's helping us. I'll do justice to PRINCE2 methodology. So if you have your questions, you can always type your questions. Please, let's make sure we stay on mute. Let's try to stay on mute. If you have any question or questions, you can always type them. I will always pick them up, and I'll always see it and pick them up as when I'm supposed to do that. Okay. So today we will be talking about the PRINCE2 methodology, and also please press yes if you can see my screen. Just type yes if you can see my screen, basically. Okay, thank you very much, Faith. Okay, so for the PRINCE2 methodology, there are three key areas majorly that we need to look into today. We will be looking at the principles, we'll be looking at the themes, and we'll be looking at the processes. So for you to remember, there are 7 principles, there are 7 themes, and there are 7 processes in PRINCE2. So 7 principles, 7 themes, and 7 processes. So for PRINCE2 last week for PRINCE2, we defined a project as a temporary venture that exists to produce a defined outcome. Remember, we said that last week that PRINCE2 defines that as a temporary outcome, a temporary venture that exists to produce a defined outcome, which we said last week that a project must have a start and a finish date. A project must be unique. That's what they call a defined outcome. Each project will have agreed and unique objective. Every project has got a unique and agreed objective that we want to actualize, and as well as its own project plan, its own budget, its own time scale, and its own deliverables, basically. And also, we told ourselves last week also that project management, according to PRINCE2, can be defined as the discipline of applying specific processes, principles to initiate, plan, execute, and manage the way that new initiatives or changes are implemented within an organization. So basically, it's the way we apply processes, it's the way we apply principles to execute a plan. So we'll be talking about those principles and those processes now. Okay, so if you go online, sometimes, or for some of you that might have gone through PRINCE2 training or kind of introduction to PRINCE2 before, this particular chart I'm showing on the screen, you will definitely be familiar with it. So this particular sheet is what everybody that is on a project needs to do from start to finish. So this part, and that's exactly what we'll be talking about today, to say, you know what, I'm starting up a project. What exactly do I need to start up a project? At this point in time, what do I need? At that point in time, what do I need? That is exactly what we'll be talking about today. And if you can see that, we've got already corporate and program management customers. We have all of that. The first thing that initiates a project is that first blue oval that you're seeing, which is called a project mandate. A project mandate is a document that initiates a project. So, meaning if you're saying that, okay, let's go back to our project. Our project for LBB, for London Borough of Bexley, is for us to migrate their 1,000 laptops, from Office 2010 to Office 365. That is a project. So for this particular project, we're saying that, okay, for us to say that we want to start this project, where is the mandate? Where is that particular contract? More like saying, where is the contract? Where's the statement that is telling us that we need to start a project? So that is what the project mandate is all about. Project mandate is like a contract that is binding to saying, you know what, we need to start up a project. As you can see, that this project mandate appoints the executives as well as the project manager. So if I'm on a project and I'm asking that, okay, who appoint a project manager for this particular project? What the person will show me is this is a mandate from the sponsor. This is a mandate from the management that is saying that we need to initiate the migration of 1,000 laptops from Office 2010 to Office 365, and Elizabeth has been appointed as the project manager. And while we're saying that, also the project board, Angela has been appointed as the senior user, Mary has been appointed as a senior supplier. So that is what that particular mandate it's all about. Yeah, that's fine. If it's not, Ineka is saying it's not really visible. When you get the material, you will definitely see it in the material. So it will be a lot visible, and everything I said now, we'll be picking them up one after the other to talk about them. All right, so let's talk about the principles very quickly. Now, principles, these are the guiding obligations or good practices which determine whether the project is genuinely being managed using PRINCE2. And you want to agree with me that in life, there are certain principles. As a Christian, there are certain principles that is guiding your life, which are enshrined in the Bible. As a professional, or if you're in a university, there are certain principles that are guiding your conduct within the university system. If you're a part of a family, there are guiding principles laid down by the parents to say, you know what, nobody leaves this house from 7 p.m. Everybody must make sure that they are back by 7 p.m. We stand up at 6:30 a.m. for us to yes, that's the latest one. According to Yomi, yes, that's the latest one. So for us to be able to conduct ourselves the way we should conduct ourselves. So that is what we have as principles. So like we said, these are the foundations of the method. Everything else is based on this. For PRINCE2, this is the guiding principles for PRINCE2. This is what PRINCE2 it's all about. PRINCE2 is saying, you know what, we need to always make sure that there's continued business justification. Remember last week, Tuesday, I told us about the eclipse of the moon, about a particular guy who wanted to sell his UV eye goggle for eclipse of the moon. At the end of the day, there was no justification for that business anymore. We also spoke about learn from experience. You have to always make sure you learn from experience. The third principle is define roles and responsibilities. We have to make sure that roles and responsibilities are defined. The next thing is manage by stages. We spoke about this. You have to phase your project. You have to manage your project by stages. Next to that is we said that they must be managed by exception, meaning there are tolerances. There are tolerances, and I explained this by using finances to say, you know what, a project manager can be allowed to say any amount from £1 to £2,000. Mr. Project Manager, you can sign it. You don't have to come to us. You don't have to come to the project board to say, you know, project board, there is a change, and the change is going to require £2,000, and I need you to approve it. No, they can say, you know, for exception, we have this tolerance level that from here to here, Mr. Project Manager, you can carry out those things. You can see that any changes that is affecting the project, which is just within 10 days, Mr. Project Manager, you can carry on and implement those changes. You don't have to come to us to raise a change request. You don't have to review it. So that is what we're saying by managing by exception. Also, next to that is focus on product. PRINCE2's guideline principle is our eyes are always on the product. What exactly do we want to create? What is that product? What is the outcome? Our eyes are always on the outcome. And the last one, which I'll be taking at the end of the whole training, is called tailor to the project environment. So like I said, this is a methodology. Methodology is saying that, yes, all of these can be relevant. But you know what? Whenever you are handling your own project, you have to tailor it to the environment in which you are carrying out the project. So everything might not be relevant for your project. So you have to always make sure that you are tailor it to your own environment. So the first principle says continued business justification. Like I said earlier on, the number one question you want to ask yourself is, are the benefits still worth the risk and cost? What's the benefit of this project? We want to migrate 1,000 laptops, or we want to create a website. We want to create an e-commerce website because everybody is moving now to the e-world. Because everybody is now migrating to the e-world, we now need to create e-commerce website for our product. What do we sell? Let's assume one corner shop, a corner shop that sells groceries and all that. And I said, you know what? We need to now create a website that can house all of our product so that we won't have interface with people with the coronavirus or pandemic. We won't be able to have interface with people. We can ask people to book online and they can pick up. We do their shopping for them and they can always pick up at the shop. They drive through, they pick up at the shop, they pay their money and all of that. So we're trying to do this. And while we're trying to build the website, we're saying that, okay, the reason why we want to do that is because we don't want people to have interface with people. Oh, here comes Russia. Here comes Russia, and that particular project is going to cost us. Let's assume it's going to cost us 25 million naira. And here comes Russia with the vaccine, with the first vaccine that has been tested on humans yesterday. And they're saying that, okay, the vaccine is now going to be available for everybody by the 9th of August. They're going to mass produce it. It's going to be available for everybody by 9th of August. And we can all go back to our normal life. And everybody can be going to shops, can be doing all of that. Now, we need to review such project again to say, well, are there still benefits? Are the benefits still worth the risk and the cost? We still need to invest a whole lot of 25 million naira or 1 million pounds on this particular website. Okay. Are the benefits still worth the risk or cost? So we need to say, okay, if it's a no, then we have to stop the project. What was the cost of the failure? Then we have to now start talking about, okay, what is the cost of the failure? What exactly is the cost of the failure? If it's a yes, then we continue to the next stage. Then we now need to develop a business case. Remember, the first thing we're trying to do at the first is, what exactly is it that we're doing? Is there justification for this particular project? If it's a yes, then let's go and develop the business case. We've developed the business case. We are still within the project and still asking the question. If it's a no, we'll stop. If it's a yes, then is the project worthwhile? What is the cost benefit analysis? Okay, what is the benefit of this particular project? Are we sure we're going to have it? Are we sure we're going to realize the benefit compared to the cost we'll be spending? If you're spending 25 million on that, how long will it take us to realize this benefit? Is it really worth it? So that is what PRINCE2 principle is all about. PRINCE2 principle is saying there must be continued business justification for any project you are carrying out. You must always talk about it. You must always review your business case. Is this project still viable? Is the project still worthwhile in doing? So that is the first principle. Second principle to that is saying we need to learn from experience. We need to learn from experience. And for me, this is one of the first documents. The moment you get your project mandate, the first document you want to look at, you want to develop, and also start looking out for is called a lessons learned document. Because inside the lessons learned document, if you look at this guy here, if you look at the left-hand side, it said, what was the cost of the failure? Learn your lessons. The moment we learn a lesson to say, you know what, someone tried to do this. Alex tried to do this particular project 2 years ago, and Alex couldn't continue. and these were the lessons learned from Alex's project, then you need to pick that up and start learning from experience. So Prince2 is saying, you know what? There is no, I know we define a project as a unique project, as a unique project, as a unique outcome and all of that. But if you look through it very well, in one way or the other, a part of that project, someone has done something similar before. Someone has done something similar. Someone has got a lot of experience when it comes to that particular type of project. So you have to make sure you learn from experience. And let's learn from both successes and mistakes. What happened? What were the success stories of this particular project in the past, or something similar, or this project manager? What were the mistakes? If there are things like that, we need to start logging it. We need to start logging it. We need the lessons report. We need to identify. We need to document, and we need to share it to people to say, you know what, this is it. And one of the best way to do that is by getting experts on your project. As a project manager, don't forget that you might not be technically inclined on this particular project, so you need experts' opinion. You need to consult experts. We call them the SME, subject matter experts. You need to consult them, and that's why we say recruit members with experience in similar projects. Prince2 is so endeared with that to say, you know what, you have to learn from experience. You can't be an island to yourself to say, you know what, I just want to do this project on my own way. I know that you are bound to fail if that is what you're doing. So Prince2 is saying the guiding principle for Prince2 is you need to learn from experience. Next to that is Prince2 says that, you know what, guys, the principle is right from the beginning, we need to define roles and responsibilities. Defining roles and responsibilities says that I don't want Angela to think that she is a project manager, or Alex to think that he is a project manager, or Antonia to think she is a project manager as well. And all that. Right from the beginning, we need to make sure that roles are defined, roles and responsibilities are defined. This is the role of a project manager. This is the role of the project board. This is the role of the senior user. This is the role of the senior supplier. This is the role of the project assurance. These are the roles and responsibilities of the project team. So, and that's why I say, is everyone clear with what is expected of them? There has to be a clear-cut definition of what is expected of each and every one. I want to know if I'm coming on board, if I'm coming on the project, what is expected of me to do? And that is why whenever you see they want to recruit anybody, if HR wants to recruit anybody, the first thing they will roll out is these are the roles and responsibilities of what we're looking for. This is the role, this is the responsibility of the people we're looking for. Because if you go on JobServe, or you go on CV Library, or you go on City Jobs, and you just saw PMO analyst, and you just apply. But in your mind, you're like, okay, that is the role. What is the responsibilities that you think a PMO analyst within your organization should be doing? So if a recruiter should call you, that's the first thing you want to ask. Sorry, please. Yeah, I applied for this job, but there were no responsibilities attached to that particular role. Do you have one that you can send to me for me to actually know if my skills set fit into this particular role? Okay. That is what is also expected on a project. So if you are working on a project, roles and responsibilities must be defined. And that is what Prince2, one of the principles of Prince2 is all about. Okay. So next to that, remember the first one, the first principle is continued business justification. We have to learn from experience. We have to define roles and responsibilities. Next to that is we need to manage by stages. And why are we managing by stages? Managing by stages is just trying to tell us that, you know what, when we finish a stage, we need to review that stage, and that is where all of your business case review comes in. So let's review this business case. Is the project still worth it? Should we still go ahead? So at that stage, so you're not waiting till the end of the entire project before you start doing your checklist or your gate review. You have to set your project as you proceed. A typical example is a project I'm on at the moment. Under this particular project, we have we have the visibility stage. After the visibility stage, we have the conceptual stage. After the conceptual stage, we have the tender stage. After the tender stage, we have the implementation stage. Then we have the commissioning stage. Then we have the closeout stage. Now, what we've done so far is to say, you know what, gate one is our visibility. Conceptual is gate 2. Then gate 3 is our tender stage. So meaning by the time we get to the tender process phase or stage, we want to understand is, okay, we send out a tender, we receive the tender, we understand that, okay, this particular vendor is bidding for that particular vendor is bidding for that particular vendor is bidding for that. At the end of the day, we can see that, okay, this is a vendor we are going with. This is a vendor we are signing a contract with. If I say that this is a vendor we are signing a contract with, we need to understand that is a project still viable? Is a project still worth continuing? So at that point, at every stage, is where you have this green light or this red light, which it says go or no go area. So on your project, PRINCE2 is saying that on your project, you must have stages and you must have a go or no go area to say, you know what, the project is not worth doing anymore, or the project is worth doing, but there are a few things we're yet to actually cover up in this particular stage. If there are things we're yet to do in that particular stage, they will tell you, no go, you can't go. We can't sign you off to go to the next stage. We can't sign you off to go to the next stage. But if it is something that is open, we're saying, or it's still viable, yes, you're done with everything that we've agreed that you will do, you can go to the next level. So as a project manager, you are expected to always review your gates checklist. And as a PMO, if you're a PMO person, a project management office analyst, lead manager, you are the custodian of all of these gate processes. Meaning within the organization, there will always be a document within the organization that defines what needs to be done at this particular stage before you can go ahead. I give you a typical example. On my project at the moment, we're about to pass through gate 3. And I've been reviewing the document that we need to do to pass through gate 3. And I said, okay, number one thing we need to do to pass through gate 3 is to pass through the stage. When I say gate, that means going to the next. So we can't close gate 3 or gate until we are able to get the keys. So what are the keys we need in order for us to open this particular gate for us to move to the next level? That is why we call it a gate. A gate, really. So for that particular, and if you can see there, they have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 4. But when you get into organization, they won't be using stages, they'll be using gates or phase. So when you get phase, and the gate is what you need to do within that particular phase or that particular stage. So within that particular project I'm talking about, I need a business case review. The business case needs to be up to date. The factory readiness document needs to be updated, and the contract needs to be signed. The environment, health, and safety document needs to be updated. You can imagine the implementation plan needs to be baselined. So if these 5 things are not done, the project board will not allow us to proceed to the next stage. So those are the things that we talk about when we talk about managed by stages. Are all the firm's foundations in place? Covers delivery of the project specialist. Then we have a project plan, we have a stage plan, and we have a team plan. So the project plan is what you present to the project board. So for each of those stages, you have a plan. You have your stage plan. We have managed by stages. So the next principle is managed by exception. Remember, I said this earlier on to say there are tolerances. We give tolerances a lot on projects. There are permissible tolerances. Establish tolerances for the 6 project objectives. It saves senior managers time. No need for regular meetings. Like I said, okay, if the project is just going to affect 5 days, why do you need to call a meeting of the project board? Don't forget that your project board might have the CEO in there. Your project board might have some of the directors in there. Like my project at the moment, my project has got the MD of the organization. and like it's got the HR director, it's got the engineering director, and it's got the sales director on my project board. So why do I need to always disturb these four guys, these top four guys every time to say, you know what, my project's gonna sleep by 2 days. I need to call a meeting, and that meeting, let's review what's gonna happen. No, the tolerance is anything that is affecting the project by more than 2 weeks. Yes, bring it to us for approval. But if it's still within 2 weeks, you guys can go and deal with that. If it's still within £20,000, yes, as a project manager, you can approve that. You can work on that. But if it's more than £20,000, no, you have to come to us. You have to come to us for us to approve that particular project. Okay, so that is what it means by managing managed by exception. And whenever we're managing by exception, you have to talk about the time, the cost, the quality, the benefit, and the scope. Remember, we spoke about all of these six guys as the six variables of project management. Okay, so you can type your questions. If you have any questions, I'll pick them along the line as we go. So that is, project board takes a decision after reviewing the impact on the 6 project objectives. So we have the 6 project objectives, but there are established tolerances for these 6 variables. Okay, let's continue. I'm supposed to go forward. Manage by exception. Okay, I think I repeated that. Sorry, apologies for that. It should be focused on product, not define roles and responsibilities. Okay, so focus on product. So are we delivering at the quality required? So our eyes must be on the product. And the question we want to ask ourselves is, are we delivering at the quality required? Are we delivering at the quality required? Decreases the chance of acceptance dispute or user dissatisfaction, because exactly, if you're not delivering, if we take our eyes off the ball, off the product, this will decrease the chance of acceptance dispute of user and user dissatisfaction. Meaning, we're saying we're delivering 1,000, migrating 1,000 laptops, and with Office 365 on it, that Office 365 must have your Excel spreadsheet, it must have Word, PowerPoint, Publisher, it must have Access and all that. And at the end of the day, what was delivered, we couldn't find PowerPoint in there. All because while we're doing the installation, there was a particular button we had to have pressed, but our focus was not really on it and we lost it. So our focus must always be on the product. Identifying the product, and this is where we have the product description document. Here, there is what we call the product description document, which says all the things that is expected to be delivered. What are the things that we need to deliver? We need to deliver A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Are we delivering that, or we just delivered A, C, D, G, H? So that product description document is what will form the basis of our acceptance criteria. Remember, I told us last week also that you don't reduce the scope. When you reduce the scope, what you are trying to do is you're performing a scope creep. When you take out changes that it doesn't go through, that is yet to go through the change control board, you're going through scope creep. Each product, purpose, composition, we have to create awareness for each product purpose, the composition, and the quality criteria of each of the products. So this is very, very critical whenever you are on the project as a project manager or as a PMO person on your project. Your eyes must always be on the product. You must always go back to the initial product description document that was written to say, are we still in line? Are we still doing what we said we would do? Have we not? I hope we've not changed the scope. Hope we've not added to the scope. Okay. Then next to that is managed by exception. No, I've made a mistake with this slide again. It's called tailor to suit the project. I'm using a wrong slide entirely, but it's still in line because I've adjusted all of this. Okay, remember I said I'll pick up tailor to suit the project environment last. And I think I explained this earlier on to say apply Prince2 with common sense. But that just summarizes it. Apply Prince2 with common sense. I can't say because I'm using Prince2, you know what? Everything Prince2 says, from cost to scope to time scale to risk to that, I need to do everything word for word. I need to do every, you know what? I'm following Prince2 principle. I'm following Prince2 methodology. So please just leave me alone. I need to create that. I need to create this. I need to create that. Prince2 suggests that you must have at least 4 stages, even though my project is just a 3-day project, And I say that because Prince2 has suggested that you must have at least 4 stages, even though my project is 3 days, I must have 4 stages on my project. No, that's what Prince2 says. Prince2 says tailor to suit the project environment. Tailor to suit the project environment. That is very, very critical. And that's why I say apply Prince2 with common sense. Adapt Prince2 to suit your project needs. Describe your tailoring in your project initiation document. We'll talk about that. All projects are different environments, different place, and all of that. So you have to make sure that you tailor it to suit your project environment. All right. Any question on principles before I move to themes? Yori is asking that what is the first principle? The first principle is continued business justification. And that was where we spoke about our business case. Okay, yes, I think Yomi asked that Prince2 27, same as Prince2 edition 6. Yes, I think edition 6 is the latest one, but we don't always use edition, we always use the year. So 2017 is the latest. Okay. All right, Samad is asking that, can I just summarize the principles in a nutshell? All right, the first principle says continue business justification. What we're trying to say here is, as a project progresses, we always need to review our business case to see our project, is it still worthwhile to do? Is it still going to produce a benefit? And next to that is, we said that we should learn from experience. The project you are trying to do, someone has done something similar before. Someone might have started such a project and failed, or someone might have done that project and succeeded really well. You have to learn from experience. You have to learn from the past. And that's why we say you have to learn from experience. And next to that is, we said you have to, there is managing by exception. There's managing by exception in the sense that there's always tolerance. There will always be tolerance within the project as a project manager. The project sponsor will not expect you to bring everything that is happening on your project to them. They will always set a boundary or a tolerance or a threshold for you as you proceed. And also, we said there is always, you have to always define your roles and responsibilities, meaning on the project, who is doing what? I'm coming on this project, what am I going to do? What is my role on this project? What am I here to do? And we say managing by stages. There will always be stages within the project. I know that, yes. Apologies for Lakemi. Yes, you're right. And I think I apologized earlier on to say apologies. I've edited it, but unfortunately, I'm still using the old slide. So apologies for that, and I will correct that before the end of this class. Okay. All right. So next to that is, we spoke about managed by exception as well. I mean, tailored to suit the project environment. Meaning Prince2 is saying that apply common sense, because we're saying that this is the way a project should be, doesn't mean that is the way it should be strictly. So that is what we're saying with managed by exception. So Yori, was it Yori that asked that question, or? Okay, Samad. Yeah, so that's the summary of all of that. So Dami is asking, the first principle is continue business. Does it mean you can pull the plug? Yes, you can pull the plug, Dami, if the project is not viable, if the project is not bringing any benefit again. you can pull the plug. Yes, but not you as a project manager. You can only advise your project board or the project sponsor to say, you know what, there's no business justification for this project anymore. We're just going to be spending money doing nothing. Remember, I gave an example to say you want to develop a website, and your website is going to cost you like 25 million naira, all because you want to move to e-commerce, because you believe that for the next 1 year there won't be face-to-face interface anymore with people, because we're not sure if there will be vaccine and all that. But here comes Russia with vaccine, telling us that by mid-August they will make it available for everybody, and all that. You're like, okay, there is no justification for this business anymore, because if you are going back to normal life in August, why do I need to spend that much money to get it done? Okay, risk is very important in plan. Definitely Richard, and we'll be talking about risk later on. Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's go to themes. So I've got 15 minutes for us to talk about themes, and I will pick up from that from this place next week. All right, let's talk about the themes. Themes, this describes aspect of project management that must be addressed continually and in parallel throughout the project. That must be addressed throughout the project. What are we talking about? We're talking about the business case. Remember, I just spoke about business case now. So for us to justify, to continue the business justification, we need to make sure that the business case is being managed. Every time we move from one stage or from one phase to another, or from one gate to another, we need to always make sure that we review our business case. So a business case, as I always put it, is a living document. Business case is a living document that lives all through the project from the start to the end of a project, because you have to always look at the document and look, okay, we said we'll do this, we said we will do that, okay, we said the project will achieve that, the project will achieve this. Will the benefit still be there? So you have to always review the benefit of a project. I'll give you a typical example. One of the projects I'm on at the moment is saying that, you know what, we need to deploy a particular tool by May this year. Okay, yeah, we're supposed to deploy a particular tool May this year, but unfortunately the tool was gonna come from is it Lombardina in Italy. It was gonna come from Italy, and the place it was gonna come from was the very first place that went under lockdown. So we have to say, you know what, we don't have a space this year anymore. We don't even know when coronavirus will be over. So we can't bring in any equipment from this place. So we have to move this project. Where else can we move this project? So we sat down and we looked at it and we say, you know what? It has to be next year March. We can't do this project this year anymore. We can't deploy this tool this year anymore. So we have to look at our business case. If we had deployed this tool in May 27th precisely, it was supposed to be installed for 1 week. If you have deployed it in May 27th precisely for 1 week, we would have been realizing a particular amount of money every month. Okay, now that we're not deploying it, so the benefit was supposed to be a particular set of amount every month. So we have to go back to the business case and review that business case to say, you know what, for the next 10 months, unfortunately, we will not be able to realize the benefit. So we have to review this business case such that the benefit will now start materializing from March 2021 as against May 2020. So we have to review all of the figures in the business case and take the business case through the project board for the project board to review and ratify to say, yes, we are agreeing that we will not be realizing benefit again for the next 10 months, and the benefits will now start from March. So you can see that as the project progresses, the business case also is a living document. It will get updated as issue arises, and risk, like what Richard is saying, yes, as risk arises, sometimes risk can be benefit, can be opportunity, and can be a threat. So let's assume an opportunity arises to say, you know what, we're supposed to deploy another tool April next year, but we discovered that, you know what, we can actually deliver the tool during Christmas holiday. because the people that are delivering it, they don't bother about Christmas holiday, so they can actually deliver it. And instead of June, we can actually deliver in December Christmas holiday, 2 weeks December Christmas holiday, and start realizing the benefits from there. You can see that is an opportunity for us. And we have to review the business case as well to reflect that opportunity. Next to that is quality. So I'll be taking them. I've spoken about business case, and I said business case thing. The purpose is establish the mechanisms to judge whether the project is desirable, viable, or achievable as a means to support decision making. And it's a continued investment. Is it still viable? Is it still worth doing? And like we said, both customer and supplier have a business case. But in Prince2, the business case refers to the customer's business case. It is a customer's business case. Is this still viable for me to do? Is this project viable for me to do? Whether the supplier is supplying, supplier is saying that, okay, is it viable for me to supply this? No, it's none of the supplier's business. The customer is the one that is more concerned. Do I still need to deliver this project? Do I still need to deploy this project? And all that. So we have to, and this is where we talk about benefits management approach. Remember, I've been talking about benefit. This is where we talk about benefit approach as well. What is a benefit? What is a benefit? What is a benefit? Okay, what is a disbenefit? Are there things that are happening that is causing us to have a lower benefit or an erased benefit? Sometimes you can plan a project with benefit. Before you know it, some things will happen and that will erase all the benefits on your project. So you have to make sure that you review your business case to understand, okay, is this still worthwhile for us to do this particular project? So here comes the role of a business case. On the job, for you on the job, business case as a PMO person, I'll say this straight up. As a PMO person, your job is not to develop the business case. As a project manager, there are few organizations, or there are some organizations that will expect the project manager to develop the business case. While in most organizations at the moment, they will always bring in the business analyst to develop the business case in conjunction with the help of the project manager. But if you are working on a very small scale project, a project manager might be expected to develop the business case. So the project is a typical example is migration of 1,000 laptops from Office Microsoft 2010 to Office 365. That is a very small project. A project manager will be asked to develop such a business case. But as a PMO person, no, it is not your job as a PMO person to develop a business case. To review business case or to be the custodian of the business case, yes, you can be the custodian of the business case to say, you know what, when people are asking that, where's the business case for this particular project, or we need to change this figure and all that within this business case, yes, as a PMO person, that might be your job. They might assign that task to you to say, you know what, we need to review this business case. Can you set up a meeting? Can you take the minutes? Can you make sure that everything we spoke about today is edited or reflected or updated in the business case? Yes, that will be your job as a PMO person. Don't forget that you're not technically inclined as a PMO person, so you might not understand all the technical jargons or how they are doing their calculations to reach a final position on how much the benefit will be. So that is not expected to be your area of strength. Remember, we spoke about organization. For organization as well, organization basically just talks about the line of authority. For some of you, you must have heard about, you must have heard in the past that people are saying governance. Or when you look at job roles, you will hear the person must be able to administer proper governance and all that. So this is exactly what that is all about. This is where we're talking about that, to say what organizational theme. What are we talking about here? And that's where you see the project board up there with the senior user and the senior customer. Here comes the project manager. Here comes the team manager. Here comes the team. So this is what Prince2 is all about. Prince2 is saying we need to understand what is the organizational structure. What exactly is the organogram? Can we look at the organogram? For this particular project, do we have an organogram? We need to know the organogram. And within the organogram, I need to know who is doing what. What is the role of this person? What is the authority of this particular person? Okay, if anything should change, what is changing? Who will this person report to? Who is this person reporting to? Who is reporting to me? Who am I working with? So that is what this is all about. And like I said, this also will always get updated as the project progresses, because one person can move from one role to another. So if that person moves from one role to another, as a PMO, this is your task in an organization, to make sure that the organogram remains updated when people leave. So there's something we call, for some of you that have worked in corporate organization before, you will hear something called joiners, leavers, and movers. So we have joiners, leavers, and movers. So on your project, you will definitely have joiners, you have leavers, and you have movers. Joiners are people that are just joining your project. Leavers are people that are leaving your project, while the movers, or sometimes they call them the shakers, are the people that are going from one role to another role within the project. So as a PMO person, you want to make sure that that is being updated often. And like you can see the roles, we have the role of a customer, we have the role of a supplier, we have the project board, who is a senior user and a senior supplier within that role. We have the project manager, the team manager, the project assurance, the change authority. I told us about the change authority last week. That change authority is also what we call the change control board. So the change control board might be the project board, but the change authority is that person that looks at changes within the project and review the changes with the project manager and making sure that things are working well. So if you are gunning for the project of a PMO person, the last box you see down there, that is your space there that says project support. You're there to support the project manager, you're there to support the team manager, you're there to support the project board, you're there to support the change authority. Your job is to make sure that they are carrying out their task at their best, and you're there to give them that supporting role that they can think about. Okay, next to that is quality. When we talk about quality here, you have to plan your quality. You have to make sure that there's quality assurance well in place. You have to make sure that quality control is in place as well. Because remember that one of the principles we spoke about today is focus on the product. So if one of the things we spoke about today was focus on the product, you have to make sure that the quality of the project is top notch. You must have a quality control in place. When you're defining the related roles and responsibility, you must also define the quality management approach, or what we call the quality management strategy. There must be a strategy in place on how you want to manage quality. And managing quality is different from grades. When we say quality, there are two key definitions of quality in project management. The first definition is fit for purpose or conformance to requirement. Fit for purpose or conformance to requirement. Now, someone might tell you that all they need is something of lower grade, something that is extremely of lower grade. That's the project. The project is saying, you know what? I'm trying to look for something that is of extremely lower grade, something that is of extremely of lower grade. That was a project. That is what they required for. That is what has been requested. Now, so it is not you're not in any place to say, you know what, the quality of that particular thing you're requesting for is very low. But that is what they've requested for. Does that make any sense? You need to confirm what's the requirement. The requirement is deliver this particular tool. But you know that that particular tool is of lower grade. But that is what the project is saying. That doesn't mean that the quality of your project is bad. The quality of your project is saying, is it fit for purpose? That is what they want to use it for. That is what has been requested. Your quality of a project will only be diminished if what they requested for was a higher grade and you give them a lower grade. Don't forget, I'm not using quality now. I'm not saying you give them a higher quality or lower quality grade. I'm using grade now. So it is all dependent on what exactly is the requirement. Conformance to requirement. Am I conforming to the requirement? What have they asked? Am I conforming to that? What exactly is it fit for purpose? The purpose in which they want to use it for. Is it fit for it? If it fit for that purpose, you are right on track as a project manager. Any question for the next 2 minutes? Yomi is asking, is proof of concept. Sometimes it can be included, why sometimes it might not. But in all cases, no, it is not always part of it. Okay. Thank you very much. All right.